One of the things that I run into quite often as a coach is the experience that my kids have when they go away to college, where well-meaning coaches are wanting, of course, to try to help that particular pitcher get better. And the thing that I struggle with most when this is going on is that kids are changing what they're doing, obviously wanting to cooperate with their coach. They need, of course, to be underneath that coach, to be submitted to that coach. I never want to take that away from them. That's my responsibility as a coach, to teach kids to behave that way. But I'm asking kids to find out from their coach what is broken that they're working to fix as a result of doing what they're doing. And what I'd like to talk about here today a little bit is some perception that I have of what is broken that needs to change. And I'm going to start out first by talking about a very popular concept that I think of as being a myth. Obviously, every coach out there has a right to their opinion on this. But I run into so many kids that are being taught to bring the ball to a locked position back here with their palm pretty much facing second base. They're being taught to drive the arm through, miss the hip, pull, snap up. And when they do this, almost every kid that I run into, as they snap up to throw their fastball, the ball comes out twisted and the ball sits there straight as a string. Now again, I recognize coaches don't think of that as being any big deal. To me, a fastball needs to have a defined spin. For the most part, it needs to have straight over spin, so there's a lot of dropping action. So that to me is one myth, the idea of the locked arm and then this muscling move through here and the driving through this way. That needs to change. If you listen to me, those are the types of things that I'm going to change. Another thing that tends to be exaggerated in my opinion, and I view this as something that's broken in kids, is almost every kid when they pitch, they're being taught to exaggerate opening up the door. And so what ends up happening is, as they come into the release area, their body is between the ball and home plate, and they're basically forced to bow at the waist to try to get the ball through there, or they have to be rotational this way, which of course, a lot of kids are doing. What I'm wanting to eliminate is that need to be that rotational. And so when kids are in their windup, instead of exaggerating totally open, I want the belly button to only turn to about a 45-degree angle, and the hips basically stay slightly closed, slightly open, however you want to call that, with the idea that the shoulders will pretty much automatically totally open up for a split second here to allow the ball to get totally behind. Now the hip's in position to receive the arm as they come through there, so instead of missing the hip, they're brushing the hip. And obviously what I'm trying to expose here is that the idea of missing the hip is a myth. The idea of brushing the hip, which is done by the majority of world-class pitchers, is God's truth, right? Another thing that's going on a lot is that kids are being taught to make a conscious effort of snapping their wrist. I'm saying that that wrist action happens as a result of contact being made with the hip. The fingers are relaxed, the hand is relaxed, the arm is relaxed, and the concept of releasing off the hip triggers this relaxed forward action with the hand. So it's relaxed, letting it happen. If you're forcing it in some way here, to me, that's something that's broken. Another thing that continues to happen with me all the time is that it seems like the priority is always speed, velocity, anything to make the ball go faster. And I'm saying before we worry about velocity, we have got to understand what our form and our posture needs to be, and then speed is built on top of that. Another myth to me is the idea that when you finish your pitch, you need to be squared up to field your position. What we need to do is maximize the pitch by not getting carried away with that. The idea here is to finish on balance, be able to protect yourself, maintain this angle to a large degree. If there's some rotation with the shoulders because of the momentum of the release, I can live with that. But I don't want kids trying to come around their front side. I want them staying behind their front side as they finish their pitch. And as I said before, another broken part is the idea of pitching without any kind of reference point. We need the reference point, okay? And I could point out picture after picture, video after picture of world-class pitchers that are brushing their hip. The brushing of the hip reduces the stress on the shoulder, creates more consistency when I let go of the ball. It actually creates faster spin, and it maximizes my velocity at the same time. So those are just a few things that I think are broken, and a few of the things that, of course, I obviously want to see happen different. Thank you.